why and how everything is interconnected. About the outer and the inner world. Written and read by Bernhard Kutzler. While some people say that everything is interconnected, classical physics does not confirm this. However, there are phenomena that suggest an interconnectedness beyond physics. In the following, I am getting to the bottom of this and offer a perspective from which you see that indeed everything is interconnected, and also how. The traditional scientific worldview reflects our usual experience of separateness. For example, we must approach or grasp something in order to connect with it. The outer world comprises space, matter, and energy. We are part of it with our bodies. But who perceives the outer world and how? That happens in our inner world. Some call it consciousness. This world comprises our perceptions, feelings, thoughts, memories, and intuitions. We share the outer world with people, animals, plants, stones, etc., but they are all spatially separate from us. In our inner world, we seem alone. We can only assume that other people have an inner world too. The inner world is more important than the outer world because we need it in order to know about the outer world. Sometimes we feel the need to share our inner world with someone. For example, when we love. Loving happens in the inner world, but relates to someone or something in the outer world. When we love someone, we usually want them to know that we love them and how we love them. But we can only communicate in the outer world, through texts, images, sound, or touch. But no matter how hard we try, every attempt to express our inner world with the means of the outer world is only a shadow of what is actually inside us. This is a first hint that the inner world is larger than the outer world. Although we seem alone in our inner world, when we love, we feel connected to the beloved, no matter how far away it is in the outer world. It may also happen that we know something about the object of our love that, according to traditional science, we cannot know. And even strangers sometimes know something about us that they cannot know according to science. So we may not be alone in the inner world after all. We know a lot about the outer world through the natural sciences, especially physics. We know very little about the inner world. Psychology ventures into this world, but with very modest success. We can summarize the inner world experience, that is, perceptions, feelings, thoughts, memories, and intuitions, under the term knowing. Knowing is a state of our inner world. Knowing has no physical properties, it has no length, no weight, it doesn't move. It is not measurable and therefore cannot be explored physically. The inner world of knowing is, therefore, fundamentally different from the outer world. And so the question arises, what fabric is knowing and thus the inner world made of? Knowing is information. However, it is a different type of information than information in the outer world. In the outer world, information has a form, such as text, sound, or image. This formed information is local and bounded, because every form has boundaries. Knowing is boundless. It permeates your entire inner world. You cannot separate it from any other knowing. Therefore, you cannot delete it. You cannot unthink a thought or unfeel a feeling. I described the fabric of the inner world in my article, There is More Than Just the Universe. Since formless information is boundless, all is interconnected in the world of formless information. Quantum physicists found an inexplicable phenomenon of connectedness and called it entanglement. I therefore call the world of formless information EEL. This is an acronym formed from the letters E and L. It is the abbreviation for entanglement at large, which is the characteristic property of this fabric. Animals, plants, and cells also have an inner world. They too know. They too have perceptions, feelings, familiarities, and intuitions. I described the difference between them and us in my article. This is the difference between humans and animals. And according to the widely accepted interpretation of quantum mechanics, the elementary building blocks of matter are abstract. That means that they are formless information. According to this, the world of formless information is the basis of the physical world. The physical world, in which things are separate from each other, is made from the world in which all is interconnected. This seems paradoxical, but can be interpreted as, in the outer world, things appear separate even though they are not. In this sense, the outer world is an illusion, because something is an illusion when it is not what it appears to be. In my article, Why and How the Universe is an Illusion, I explain why Eel, the world of formless information, is the only reality and why the universe is made of it. In the following, I suggest a metaphor that illustrates how Eel creates the universe. Eel has no space and no form, but since we are used to thinking spatially and in forms, Eel is unimaginable for us. In order to visualize the unimaginable, we give Eel a form on loan that depicts its most important properties. Imagine Eel as a data cloud in the form of an infinitely long and infinitely fast fiber optic cable, where all the formless information can be retrieved instantly at any time. Being connected to this cable means that all you know is automatically uploaded, and you can also download all information. Now imagine a knitting machine knitting a scarf from this cable. It is a vertical knitting machine. You are looking from above and therefore only see the last row of the scarf. Every moment, a new row extends the scarf. The cable is Eel. The last row is the present universe. The scarf below the last row is the history of the universe. Everything is made of Eel, that is, formless information, the universe, that is, space, matter and energy, and the history of the universe. The latter is called the Akashic Records in some traditions. Everything in the universe is made of cable, and therefore everything is interconnected. The cable, and thus the scarf, contains all that someone or something in the universe once knew or knows now. All is available anywhere in the universe at any time. The French philosopher Henri Bergson talked about this. Each person is at each moment capable of remembering all that has ever happened to him and of perceiving everything that is happening everywhere in the universe. The function of the brain and nervous system is to protect us from being overwhelmed and confused by this mass of largely useless and irrelevant knowledge, by shutting out most of what we should otherwise perceive or remember at any moment, and leaving only that very small and special selection which is likely to be practically useful. Henri Bergson, quoted by Aldous Huxley in Doors of Perception. This doesn't just apply to us humans. Everything is connected to Eel. Also animals, plants, cells, water, stones, molecules, atoms and atomic particles. Potentially everything in the universe knows all. Practically, it knows what it needs to know in order to fulfill its purpose as part of the whole. References to Eel as the source of all are not only part of ancient traditions such as Hermeticism and Advaita Vedanta, but can also be found in modern entertainment products. In the movie Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, for example, there is the following scene. Valerian asks the computer to analyze a memory that has previously reached him in a flash. The computer replies, "Someone is sending you these images. They could come from the present or the past, and from anywhere in the universe." This insight is also contained in the film trilogy Matrix and in the movie Lucy. This knitting theory expands the traditional scientific world model by adding eel as another world and describing the universe's emergence from eel metaphorically. To understand the transition from eel to the physical universe, one needs quantum physics considerations. They are simple enough, so I will describe them in a future article. A theory is a perspective. The word theory is of Greek origin, the word perspective is of Latin origin. A theory or perspective is neither right nor wrong, it is only more or less useful, such as for explaining phenomena. Does the knitting theory provide better explanations than the physical perspective? For outer world phenomena, it provides the same explanations, with one exception. For inner world phenomena, the knitting theory provides explanations for all known phenomena, whereas there are no explanations in the physical perspective. This is because the physical worldview ignores the inner world. Therefore, the knitting theory is more useful. The one exception in the outer world is the following phenomenon, which was first observed in electrons. The physical perspective includes the insight that nothing can move faster than the speed of light. Therefore, information cannot be transmitted any faster. However, quantum physicists observed an instantaneous exchange of information. Although this contradicts the laws of physics, they cannot help but accept the measurement results and thus the phenomenon. It's called quantum entanglement and has already been confirmed experimentally with photons, neutrinos, electrons, molecules and even small diamonds. There is no explanation of this phenomenon from the traditional scientific perspective. Albert Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. The knitting theory provides a simple explanation. Objects know about each other. They are knitted from eel and are therefore interconnected beyond the physical universe. In traditional science, only the smallest things are entangled. In knitting theory, everything is entangled, the small and the large. Therefore, I have called this word eel, entanglement at large. For a meticulous derivation of the inner world fabric eel, see my book Consciousness, Its Nature, Purpose, and How to Use It.